simple phrase has been said, the language of Paris is easy to learn.
Paris has a way of humbling her invaders.
It's been one of the great walking towns of the world since the legions of Julius Caesar marched into Gaul to find a separate tribe sitting on an island in the Seine, a tribe called themselves Parisians.
Since then, the city has been besieged by Attila the Hun, the English and Normans, Axis and the Allies. This goes on. The newest army of occupation is made up of happy visitors from every corner of the globe. We come for the food, we come for the fashion,
Entertainment,
the art, shopping.
Paris is not just a city, Charles V wrote. It's a whole world. Parisians will tell you that if you sit long enough in a cafe on the Champs-Élysées, you will see everyone in the world pass by on parade.
All this has made the Parisians charming, yet cynical. Provided visitors don't interfere with their daily lives too much, Parisians are more willing to share their city because they wouldn't live anywhere else.
To experience Paris, you need to hear the music and the laughter,
To touch the history and the art.
to taste menus of Paris, and smell the wonderful odors spilling from the kitchens with specialties from the cooking pots of every province in France.
Most of all, Paris must be seen. The sights of Paris, the boulevards, canals, and the They say Napoleon was and you can see from the window the malls of Paris fashion.
These cafes and sunset rising light into the Champs-Élysées, to the lights of the Pont Rouge, throwing their golden light on the great gray stone buildings along the Seine. Parade of silk ladies and Rue Faubourg
The white cloths and silver gleaming on the tables.
the waiters starched into snowy shirts framed in black tuxedos.
The golden windows and the pricey jewels of the Place Vendôme. In the center, the great column styled after Trajan's column in Rome. The buildings, uniform in style, are fine examples of Louis XIV's clean architecture, designed by Mansart. Paris is a mecca for perfume lovers with scent shops on both the left and right banks. The smart Paris umbrella shops, glove shops, scarf shops with piles of printed silk, and the designer boutiques, the classiest labels known to the fashion world.
Contrast the evening quiet at the Tuileries Gardens and the lunchtime excitement at the Relay and the Plaza Apple. There is no more important subject with the Parisian than food. Here, just outside one of the 7 gates, in the wall that surrounded medieval Paris, is a typical French restaurant. To be a waiter in France is serious business. To the French, the waiter is a friend, a guide, a counselor. To watch a Frenchman eat is watching a master at work. The gesticulating table chatter over aperitifs comes to full stop. Conversation continues over a tiny cup of very strong dark coffee.
On va prendre
French restaurants consider
moi je
patrons
prends
every meal.
un carré d'agneau.
They discuss his diet. They are constantly on a diet. Not a diet to lose weight, or it would be cruel. By
À la route,
diet, they mean
ou un
what to
red
eat.
wine or a white
serve a more elaborate flavor of cafes, which derive their special flavor from the differing neighborhoods of Paris.
Of course, the ever-present fast food chain. Fresh shellfish are displayed outside the restaurants under canopies that read huître, which means oysters. Raw fish is served on trays of ice, a popular late-night dish.
French regional cookery can be found all over Paris. The garlic and saffron-scented bouillabaisses of Provence, rustic pork dishes from the markets of Auvergne, and foie gras, liver of duck or geese. Cassoulets of beans and meat from the southwest, sauerkraut and sausage specialties from Alsace-Lorraine.
And caviar imported from Russia, a fine companion for a glass of French champagne.
The French are passionate about food.
And about romance. Wherever you go in Paris, the skyline is dominated by the Eiffel Tower. It was built between 1887 and 1889 and was intended to stand for only 20 years. It's made of 12,000 pieces held together by 2.5 million rivets. When it was complete, the public complained loudly that it was the worst piece of architecture ever put up in steel. Notable figures at the time, including Guy de Maupassant, signed petitions to have it melted down for scrap. You reach the 3 viewing platforms by elevator, or, for the young and the strong, by 1,652 steps. That only takes you to platform 1. Everyone takes an elevator to the top. The views at various levels are spectacular, and best about an hour before sunset. On a clear day from the highest platform, you can see for 40 miles. The Eiffel Tower rises 1,051 feet above the ground and weighs 7,000 tons. If you go to the highest platform on a windy day, the breeze can blow your beret all the way to Belgium. The Eiffel Tower was saved in 1918 because of its value as a radio transmitter, and since 1957 to send television signals. It's now the best-known monument in France and the symbol of Paris.
After the Eiffel Tower, the most renowned structure in Paris is the Arc de Triomphe. Built in 1806 to honor the Imperial Arch is emblazoned with statues commemorating his victories. Valmy, Grand Marps, Lodi, Pyramides, Rivers, it took 30 years to complete and is now known as the Place Charles de Gaulle. Over the arch, the tomb of the unknown soldier. The eternal flame is rekindled each evening at 6:30. Take the elevator to the museum inside. You can climb the last few steps to the top, 164 feet above the ground, and have a magnificent view of Paris, with all her monuments and each of the avenues setting off each building with style.
You're looking at the most famous 2 miles on Earth, down the Champs-Élysées between 2 triumphal arches. The walk from the Rond Point, or Round Point, to the Étoile is now largely commercial, but its cafes are filled with Parisians and visitors battling over pastry and the Café Crème. Or sipping a liqueur and practicing the fine Parisian art of people watching. Continuing down the Champs-Élysées, we come to the Avenue Montaigne. Elegant shopping area. Be cautious. Paris a collection of masters including works by Picasso,
century. The palace was used by Napoleon III as apartments for himself and Empress Eugenie until it was destroyed by fire in 1871. One of the Tuileries, on Avenue General Lemonnier, stands the only relic of the palace, the Arc de Triomphe du Carrousel. Built in 1806 and modeled on the Arch of Septimus Severus in Rome, it honors Napoleon's 1805 victories in Italy. And figures on top of the arch are by Bosio.
Until you visit the Louvre, Parisians won't let you leave town. It's not a national treasure. It belongs to the world. Construction of the Louvre Palace took place over 3 centuries, from 1527 to 1827, and it continues today. It's already possible to spend a lifetime studying the extraordinary richness and variety of the collections here. The world's largest temple to art and antiquities. The most famous artifacts here are the Winged Victory and the Venus de Milo. Other masterpieces of classic sculpture in the Greco-Roman department, and the Salle des Bijoux displays of jewelry from Pompeii. Departments of Egyptian and Oriental antiquities, sculpture and graphic arts. London is most famed for having the largest collection of paintings in the world. The work of Finnish, Dutch, German, English, Swedish, and French masters in New French, Sartouli, Versprite, addition to the Louvre is the Musée de la Mode, fashion museum. For the fashion industry, Paris is ground zero. Each year, chic and startling fashion innovation spills onto runways from the design rooms and workshops of Paris. Triumphs of past collections are displayed in the Musée de la Mode, with contributions from fashion notables such as Madame Grace.
Underground, the metro, is one of the city's marvels. The French are like timber about the most valuable art treasures in the new metro station. Priceless works of art in stone, marble, gold, and bronze. Some in display cases, others simply out in the open. There are maps in every station, and they're easy to read. Tourist passes for 2, 4, and 7 days are available and are good for unlimited travel while valid. 17 metro entrances were built around 1900 by Hector Guimard, the most important architect of the time. Metro stations have gone from Art Nouveau to modern.
There are new modern buildings, chrome and glass and stainless steel. Réal, once the famed produce market of Paris, served onion soup each morning to people who partied through the night. Réal is now a popular shopping center, but you can still find a table at an outdoor cafe. Industries have been established in the suburbs. There's the vast new port of Gennevilliers. And new satellite towns have been built, including a new business district called La Défense. There are expressways along the banks of the Seine. Yet the vitality and old world ambience in the heart of Paris is still the same.
mon compteur, de façon à pouvoir dire que je suis occupé. Bon, bonjour monsieur, où est-ce que vous pouvez m'amener à la gare de Lyon, s'il vous plaît? Mais non, moi je vais déjeuner maintenant, non. C'est impossible. Ça. Non, puis je vais dans l'autre direction. Non, je vais pas gare du Nord, si vous voulez. Mais non, c'est gare de Lyon.
Many drivers have their dogs riding shotgun in the front seat. The Paris cab driver is proud of the valorous tradition of the taxi cab army that defeated the Germans outside Paris in 1914. General Galliani got an army together, took them in taxis to whip the Germans soundly, protecting Paris. He would be the only man who got all the taxi drivers of Paris to agree to go in the right direction at the same time. Now that's military genius.
Speaking of dogs and taxis, French dogs live more richly than any others. Parisians take their dogs everywhere. Like their owners, Parisian dogs take a special interest in grocery shopping. Dogs are welcomed in French restaurants. In French, the galban on dogs in the dining room is barbarous. In restaurants, the dogs take their food bravely. Dog owners are known to be good tippers. French can't do too much for their pets. Therefore, waiters sometimes give the dogs better service than the owners. Sunday is the best day to go and sit in the Place de Terre, Turtle Place, in Montmartre. It's very pleasant on warm summer evenings, too. Take a cab. Used to be hundreds of windows on the highest point of Paris. The Place de Terre lies on the cobblestone street, surrounded by fine shops, stores, and tourists. Buildings set in ancient decorations, the scenes a stage set. Restaurants and taverns arranged tables outside. Tourists and Parisians alike enjoy the carnival Catholics dedicated the church to the Sacred Heart as an expression of contrition following the French disasters of the Franco-Prussian War. The church was financed by public subscription, and 3 million Frenchmen contributed to the fund. dedicated houses all being carefully restored, and open bookstalls selling second-hand books, posters, and art. There's a bookstore, Shakespeare and Company, that has always promoted the literary avant-garde. It was the only house that found the courage to publish James Joyce's Ulysses. When you buy a book here, they'll stamp it with a drawing of Shakespeare's head, surrounded with the inscription, Shakespeare and Company, Kilometre Zero, Paris. A nice souvenir. You also see a menagerie of pets for sale in sidewalk cages, birds and monkeys, rabbits and hamsters. The rooster, the symbol of France. Bridge in Paris, the Pont Neuf, ordered by Henry III in 1577 for his use as a personal shortcut from the Louvre to the Saint-Germain-des-Prés.
The Saint-Germain district was the scene of violent executions during the French Revolution, which began in 1789. More than 40,000 people lost their heads. Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette heard the whisper of the guillotine blade in 1793. A year later, revolutionaries themselves were beheaded. Robespierre, Georges-Jacques Danton, and Jean-Paul Marat. The revolution was ended, and Napoleon Bonaparte's rise to fame began. With a whiff of grape shot, he dispersed the Paris mobs in 1795. From then, fortune smiled on him for a time.
Saint-Germain was also the gathering place for many of the lost generation of poets and painters, writer radicals, intellectuals, and rascals following World War I. The famous Café Les Deux Magots is here, the birthplace of surrealism. Floor, where the existentialists argued long and loudly. Library cafes are still lively. French pleasant place to wander or simply sit. freshly baked bread is as important as breathing. It comes in scores of shapes and sizes. The baker often decorates the loaves with intricate roses made dough. The French insist that their bread be hot, fresh from the oven. The crust must be perfect, hot, flavorful, and rich. You cannot go a day without bread. A loaf of the famous round whole wheat bread called poilâne used to make an extraordinary gift before they started exporting this national treasure.
On the site of the Cluny Abbey, you see the Cluny Museum, a playground in front. Archaeologists have a continuing dig here, where they still unearth the pieces of ancient civilizations. Inside the courtyard, there are intricately carved windows and gutters. Paul Urbain, a Cluniac monk, dedicated the high altar of the Church of Cluny in 1095. It was he who preached the First Crusade. Steps lead down from the ground floor to the Roman baths. In 1977, bulldozers working in the heart of Paris uncovered 21 of the 28 statue heads of the Gallery of the Kings of Judah, taken from the facade of Notre Dame during the French Revolution.
To the Sorbonne. Founded in 1253 by Robert de Sorbonne, it's a theological college for 16 poor students. The Sorbonne quickly overshadowed many of the great universities of Europe in prestige and quality of education. It has always played a leading role in political and religious disputes. In 1968, the Sorbonne was the center of student agitation which led to university reform throughout France.
Many of France's publishing houses have offices in this quarter. And there are a lot of hopeful writers polishing French verbs at the tables of cafes.
Wander the area sprinkled with bookshops, movie houses, and student gathering places. Or the Fountain of Saint Michel, a popular meeting ground. Stroll the alleyways of the Luxembourg Gardens. There are antique stores and chocolate shops and outdoor markets to explore. Designer boutiques in this area are more trendy than those on the right bank, but no less easier to pocketbook.
It's raw. Does it taste like the fishy?
Look at what the French call military Paris. The Avenue de Suffren, bordering the Champ de Mars, was originally built as a series of market gardens. Later it became a parade ground for the École Militaire, the military school, built at the instigation of Louis XV's favorite, Madame de Beaumont, and completed in 1772. The Hotel des Invalides was built by Louis XIV as a refuge for disabled
we have very many artifacts which belong to Emperor Napoleon I. But I think the principal part of the collection is in this showcase here. And you have here his greatcoat, his famous grey greatcoat, which he wore during all his campaigns all over Europe. The hat you see there was worn by Napoleon in Moscow during the Russian campaign of 1812. The other hat was the one he wore in 1814 during the campaign of France, one of his last campaigns. A famous picture showing Napoleon in the center wearing the uniform of Colonel of the Grenadiers of the Guard. At the top you see this part of the canopy on red velvet embroidered in gold, which was decorating the Cathedral of Notre Dame on the day of Napoleon's coronation on the 2nd of December 1804. Apart from that, there's wallpaper from Napoleon's, from the room where he was born in Ajaccio in Corsica, and his handkerchiefs, keys of his private apartments at Tuileries Palace, some of his hunting guns, and also his dispatch cases in which he carried his personal dispatches. And here is a case, a showcase, with 2 pairs of gold inlaid pistols made by Napoleon's personal gunsmith, Boutet, in Versailles. Although Napoleon was not a very elegant horseman in the academic sense of the word, he was a very tough and resistant rider, and he was able to spend something like 10 to 15 hours a day in a saddle. He spent, in fact, many of his years on a horse, covering thousands of miles on horseback from Madrid to Moscow. He had, of course, very many horses. In his imperial stables, there were up to 150 horses at one time. And these horses were divided into brigades of 12 horses, which were kept at various distances so that the emperor could easily find a change of horse every 15 miles during his gallops into Prussia, Austria, or Russia. And here you have the Grand Order and the collar, the Grand Collar of the Legion of Honor, which was the greatest, the highest French decoration created by Napoleon himself in 1802. In this showcase right here, you can see the original and genuine death mask of Napoleon I, which were made on the 6th of May, the day after his death, 1821. We have collected about 70,000 items of all periods of military history, mainly French military history, ever since the, shall I almost say, the Roman days, or even prehistoric days, right down to World War II inclusive.
West of Paris, the City of Light, is the most astonishing, the most beautiful monument left by French royalty. The magnificent Chateau of Versailles. Drawings of Versailles laid out by Linot rank as one of the best examples of classic French landscaping. Tree-lined alleys and lakes and foamy white fountains. years.
Warsaw, Louis XIV planned his great campaigns. Versailles was brilliantly designed so that the movements of the king followed the movements of the sun, or vice versa, so that the king would always appear greater than life, surrounded by a halo of light.
Imagine the glorious hall of mirrors lit by thousands of candles and filled with nobles and noblewomen in their sumptuous evening finery. The king seated at the end of the hall, too radiant to behold.
Guards of Paris traffic. You'll be able to return from Versailles to Paris well within an hour.
One of the nicest things to do in Paris is to sit on a slow-moving barge and let Paris come to you.
Many great and small Paris hotels in all price ranges. The Crillon, Tessia, the Ambassador Concord. Maurice, Georges V, and Les Ardennes. Wherever you stay in Paris, from the internationally famed hotels that show up in the world's society columns, to a full-floor welcome, Paris is always romantic.
Paris is the city of love and life. Nightlife in Paris has its own French style, full of fun and mildly naughty.
Often bizarre, always performed with Parisian style.
Quiet mysteries where friends become lovers. You'll always remember Paris because it will engrave memories on your mind forever.
Merci beaucoup. Mademoiselle, Madame, Monsieur, Mademoiselle Sharon et moi-même, vous souhaitons la bienvenue ici à Zigofolie et à notre spectacle de magie Abracadabra. Nous espérons que notre présentation vous plaira. Notre prochain tour de magie est fait bien connu par les plus grands magiciens du monde, Monsieur Harry Houdini. Notre prochain tour s'appelle la Métamorphose. J'aurais besoin de quelqu'un parmi le public. S'il vous plaît, quelqu'un qui parle le français. Il y a monsieur là. Pas le français. Non. Monsieur là. Là, oui, bien sûr, monsieur. On peut parler. Tour de magie est bien connu par tout le monde entier. Mademoiselle, Mesdames, Messieurs, la femme zigzag.